Welcome back, CT Sports Now, minus Mark Robbins, but we do have Sean Patrick Bowley, Game Time CT, here to talk some high school football. Sean, as usual, thank you very much for coming in. We look forward to Tuesdays with you. Hey, some teams qualify for the playoffs.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much. We had a bunch. We had like 14 teams this week.
We don't have to go down all of them, but let's talk about Ansonia first, because they're first on my list. How about that? Because I want to bring up something else about Ansonia. But Ansonia gets in with the 9-0 record, so they're in regardless of what happens to them against Naugatuck on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, this is probably their last, well, not their last big test before that Naugatuck showdown on Thanksgiving. They go 9-0. Seymour without their quarterback, Ian Sadek. That was just going to be a tough, tall order. They got in there a few times, but they just couldn't crack the end zone in that game. 35-0. So Ansonia, the first team to clinch this weekend. Out of 14, they all started rolling in on that rainy Friday. But Ansonia, they win 9-0. Naugatuck, they clinch. They're 9-0. Yet it's a big, for the second straight year, that big NVL showdown, 9-0 on Thanksgiving. You know, who'd have thought after not being able to pull that off in like 20 years or 24 years, they do it back-to-back seasons.
How does that game have? Because Naugatuck's obviously in what, double L or
they're in L
or L rather. But how does that game, other than bragging rights in the NVL championship, all that, how does that? What are the implications of that game?
Well, I mean, bragging rights is actually a really big deal in this game.
And I'm not diminishing.
Right.
It's
a really big deal because no one's beaten Ansonia. Remember this. No one's beaten Ansonia since 2010. It's like almost 90 straight wins for Ansonia in the NVL. Everyone before the season, as we've talked about many times before, thought that if Naugatuck is going to do it anytime soon, this was the year to do it. And here they are against Seymour. They had to survive that game, which essentially, because of this win and then their win against Holy Cross, they clinched a state playoff berth. The problem with them is it sounds like they lost Elijah Robinson. The great kick returner you're watching right now for the rest of the season with a leg injury. I believe the Republican American reported that. So that's going to be really tough. So now you're starting to look at they were looking really dominant for a while. Now, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be tough.
They've got some other horses on that team. Let's look, because I want to bring something up, because we're talking about Naugatuck and Seymour. Let's look at the new 6 through 10 portion of the poll, because that's where we had some changes. Basically, the changes that Ansonia is out and New Britain is in, which, listen, I don't have any issue with that. But I just want to say this, because Naugatuck holds inside that top 10. You had Naugatuck struggle against a Seymour team, and I realize that there are injuries involved, and you had Ansonia shut out that Seymour team 35-0, and yet Naugatuck stays in and Ansonia goes out. And the problem is that you have so many good teams here. If you vote somebody new in, like New Britain, which has been very impressive, who goes?
Right. I don't know with you. I don't understand. You know, remember, last week I went on and on about how Ansonia, maybe it should have been New Britain, because New Britain had only lost to Southington at the end of the game in that one. It was a really close one, and I thought that they should have been in the 10th spot. Maybe not Ansonia just yet, but voters put Ansonia in. So I'm like, all right, well, no big deal. Anyway, they both win. Here's Sean Robinson running yard against Enfield, and then they put New Britain. I think they're just a little bit slow. I know there's a lot going on.
Well, listen, I'm one of the voters, and I kept mine the same. I think I had New Britain at number 11. And I had Ansonia at 9 or 10 or whatever. But
really, at this point, we're going to find out who the ones are for real.
Yeah.
New Britain's got a huge game this week against Berlin. Berlin is clinched, so that's kind of off. That takes a little bit off. If New Britain wins this game, though, they are definitely in the Class AA playoffs, so then they can actually go play for the big prize and prove that they're number one, and that Southern loss was a fluke. And there's some home quarterfinals for Berlin and M and New Britain and Double L also at stake. Probably not for New Britain, but definitely for Berlin if they want to stay on the other side of the St. Joseph bracket.
So, okay, we talk about number one or the teams at the top of that poll. Greenwich High School, I've seen them now, I think, 3 weeks in a row or so. That team continues to impress in every which way under pouring rain. I was surprised to see them up in Danbury this past weekend throw the ball as much as they do. You don't see that often in the heavy downpour. But Gavin Muir just steps back and just lets it rip no matter what the conditions are.
To throw in that weather, you saw the clip before with New Britain.
Yeah.
That was like that all over the state. To be able to throw it was windy, it was raining. We threw for 5 touchdown passes. That shows a lot.
We have those highlights somewhere, that the Greenwich Danbury. Anyway, they'll get to it.
But here we are. Here's Gavin.
Yeah,
Miller
you can see how much it's raining there. It's crazy.
It was. I don't know how much wind it was, but it was definitely raining. Really tough to hold on to the ball. 5 touchdown passes, really impressive. Again, they are my #1 team.
Mine
Everyone's
too.
a lot of. It's very, very close. We had one voter go to Darien this week, and that's really all that separates these two right now. In the opinions, it's almost a split decision. We have an odd number of voters.
Yeah.
So therefore, there was one extra Darien. There's actually 4 voting for Hand on the other side, though. So 2. So it's a 13-12 first place vote split between the two. Again, we're going to find out very soon. Greenwich not in the state playoffs yet. They will be, however, if they beat Xavier. They're playing at Greenwich tomorrow night. They moved it up because of the snow.
Yeah.
I expect Greenwich to win that game. Xavier's been a little bit down this year. Well, they've been a lot down. But Greenwich, beating up a pretty solid Danbury team. We'll see them in the playoffs, I'm sure.
Have you heard anything about Daniel Hand moving up its Thanksgiving Day game? There was some talk that they wanted to play it on Tuesday of next week against Guilford.
That's possible. I have not heard that.
Okay.
They're just. I would understand why everyone would want to do. I don't know. I mean, I think that it's.
I think they want more time to prepare
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
the playoffs,
They
right?
want to play. I mean, that's kind of the trend now. You saw
Yeah.
Fairfield Prep and West Haven. They moved their game to Wednesday night. There's some grumblings about should we all start just moving the playoffs back, and that's probably going to be a casualty. I don't know. I mean, it's their home game, and Guilford's going to have to suck it up and just do it. But Guilford's got a game this week too, and that's going to be really tough for Guilford to agree to. I don't know why they would do that.
Well, we'll see. I haven't heard it for sure. I just heard some rumblings.
Right.
About it, some
Well, I
friends
mean,
talking,
it would make sense if I'm Dave Mastriani. I would like to play on Tuesday because I'm not playing this week. The problem is Guilford's playing on Thursday, or actually they're playing Friday, or is it when? I don't know when. Because the weather's going to screw things up.